The International Court of Justice, sometimes known as the World Court, is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. It settles disputes between states in accordance with international law and gives advisory opinions on international legal issues. One such dispute involved Portugal in Europe and Australia down southeast in connection with a controversial treaty signed during Indonesia's forced occupation of East Timor, a period of political uncertainty. Portugal administered East Timor, her former colony, as a non-self-governing territory in 1975. Due to internal disturbances, Portugal withdrew from East Timor. Soon after its departure, on the 7th of December 1975, Indonesia invaded and occupied East Timor. Later, in 1978, Australia acknowledged de facto Indonesia's annexation of East Timor. A number of meetings between Portugal and Australia took place to resolve the issue in relation to the undefined continental shelf between Indonesia and Australia, known as the Timor Gap. The failure to resolve the matter through talk between the two countries resulted in a treaty between the two countries for exploration and exploitation of natural resources around the Timor Sea, known as the Treaty between Australia and the Republic of Indonesia, not Portugal, on the zone of cooperation in an area between the Indonesian province of East Timor and northern Australia. In 1985, the parties agreed on the zone of cooperation, which would allow them to jointly exploit the resources in the Timor Gap. In 1991, Portugal challenged the validity of the treaty in the International Court of Justice. Portugal's concern is that Australia, through negotiating and concluding the 1989 Timor Gap Treaty with Indonesia, has acted unlawfully by infringing the right of the people of East Timor to self-determination. Australia argued that on the issue of self-determination, the people of East Timor have exercised this when a part of the population formally requested to be integrated into Indonesia. In addition, Portugal has lost its status as administering power of East Timor when it withdrew its troops and administration from the island due to its inability to contain the insurgency by the separatists in 1975. Portugal had not officially relinquished its powers over East Timor. Withdrawal of Portugal from East Timor signaled the call for self-determination by the East Timorese. East Timor remained a non-self-governing territory until forceful occupation by Indonesia. Portugal reiterated that East Timor's call for self-determination arose from UN charters and that it needed to be respected. This treaty by Australia with Indonesia had also denied sovereignty over natural resources to the people of East Timor. On the other hand, Portugal is meddling in the internal affairs of Indonesia because at the time when the Treaty of Continental Shelf regarding the Timor Gap entered into force by Australia and Indonesia, Portugal had effectively withdrawn its control and administration over East Timor. Indonesia had therefore maintained effective control of East Timor, firstly through effective occupation and the subsequent request by a major political group of the country to join Indonesia. The ICJ ruled that no case was able to be brought against Australia without also considering Indonesia's role within the treaty and whether Indonesia's invasion of East Timor was lawful. The court ruled 14-2 that this decision could not be made without Indonesia's consent as they were an indispensable third party. Portugal's claims were dismissed.